We're almost ready for the kickoff at Taylor Field in Regina. The game officials are under the instructions of referee John Ireland, Ross Sanders, Art McAvoy, Bill Harcourt, Turt Tartney, and Alan McColeman round out the officiating crew for this kickoff from Dave Ridgway to get the Rough Rider and Stampeders season underway. Good return for the Stampeders as Willie Butch Caston gets his first official carry in Canadian football. His debut is tonight at Taylor Field in Regina. 57-yard kickoff by Ridgway, a very decent 27-yard return. And here's the offensive backfield for the Calgary Stampeders with Barrett back in Calgary at quarterback. The runners are Sean Faulkner and Tim Petros. Marshall Toner and newcomer Brock Smith are inside. Newcomer Stacy Dossie is outside, and Larry Willis on the other side. Greg Watson is the newcomer at left tackle. Dan Ferrone is the newcomer at left guard. Palumbo, Spallettini, and Blanchard were all in Calgary along that offensive line last season.
I think it's interesting to note, John, due to
we had some folks in the crowd tonight, a great Rider fan all the way from Mississauga to Morley Horton downside.
And not a great debut for
and by Joe
the newcomer
at their first CFL game from London, England. Cheryl
on the kick return, he goes down and has to be helped off the field by the training staff. Pat Clayton there.
First and 10.
Caston.
Stampeders starting at the 44-yard
was the designated import for the Stampeders tonight. Offensively, Barrett brings the Stampeders out with a first down at the 44-yard line. Straight ahead as the Stampeders keep it on the ground. Tim Petros, a Calgary native, on the first carry out of the University of Calgary. When Petros has a good ball game, the Stampeders seem to have a good ball game.
John, I couldn't agree with you more. It seems like when he's running the football with authority, they seem to have a great deal of success on offense. The defensive lineup for the Rough Riders, an all-veteran group up front. Dan Restovich, really the only change. He's replacing Steve Crane, who was out with an injury.
That's a tough group up front for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. On second down, this is Sean Faulkner, and Faulkner has nowhere to go. Vince Goldsmith to make the stop, former Stampeder. So the first offensive sequence for the Calgary Stampeders will end in a punting situation.
Pursuit by the defensive front of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Sean Faulkner trying to get to the outside. Goldsmith strings it out, gets some help from Gary Lewis, and nice way to start the '89 season on defense. 2 plays and out.
The kick gets away from Matic, and the Stampeders get back to recover at the 10-yard line. First break of the night belongs to Saskatchewan. Albert Brown, number 4, putting some pressure on a 36-yard loss.
Matic has no chance to take this snap from center. He just has to try and field the ball and make sure that Saskatchewan doesn't score a touchdown in this situation. But, you know, when you come in as an underdog and you have something like this happen to you early in the ball game, sometimes it's pretty tough to recover.
It'll be a first down for the Rough Riders. Stampeder 11. The pitch to McCray, nowhere to go.
Ball carrier
he lost
14,
a couple.
Tim McCray hit immediately by Landry.
Doug Landry, number 39. The big tank in there to make the stop.
Well, a real veteran group right there who will protect for Kent Austin. Roger Aldag, of course, the Shanley winner last year, as outstanding lineman in the Canadian Football League.
This is second down and 14. In trouble, Kent Austin, and he is down.
Tackled by 45.
Well, this is what the Stampeders have really lacked in the past. The past has been able to put some pressure on quarterbacks. That time, Stu Laird, number 75, initially forced Austin to step up in the pocket, and number 45, Vernell Quinn, comes up with the stack. You know, that's pretty good defense after you giving the ball up deep in your own end on a turnover to be able to stop the Rough Riders, force them into a field goal situation.
Dave Ridgway is automatic from this range. He doesn't miss many. And the season off to a great start for Dave Ridgway. He set a league record for field goals last year with 55. The robo-kicker. It is the Roughriders in front by 3 early. Roughrider head coach, the likable John Gregory, in his 3rd full season as head coach in Saskatchewan. His record is 16, 19, and 1. His best season, the playoff year, 1988.
Yeah, I would think as a player, he's a pretty good guy to play for, John Gregory. Larry Kuharich, on the other hand, he has to try and turn a team around and finish 6-12 last year. And I suspect if he would like to see his Stampeders in the playoffs, he's going to have to get at least 10 wins in this tough Western Division.
The Roughriders say they're gunning for 1 more than last year, which would give them 12. And of course, there's 2 pretty good teams a little farther west in Edmonton and British Columbia.
Well, now we're talking a tough division. Well,
Dave Ridgway gets set to kick off once more. Deep for the Calgary Stampeders. Number 81, Stacey Dossey, and number 15, Ron Hopkins. Dossey was around for 3 games last year. He's a starting wide receiver with Larry Willis this time, and this is Hopkins at the 10. Hopkins has a return going. Ridgway, the last man back, and Hopkins has smooth sailing for the Stampeder touchdown. No flags down, Leaf. The Stampeders are quickly in front. Hopkins gets his year out to a great start with a 100-yard touchdown. Smile, Larry. It's a happy time.
well, the oldest Stampeder with regard to years of service with the club makes a big impact here in the first quarter of the first league game as Ronnie Hopkins gets a seam up the middle, makes a nice move on Dave Ridgway down here. Cut back in the middle, and nobody's going to catch him. 100 yards later, the Stampeders have their first touchdown of 89.
Mark McLaughlin will look to add to the total, and he put it off the crossbar. No good. So the first convert of the season goes a little amiss. Albert Brown, number 4, was causing a bit of a problem there. Not a bad beginning, Mr. Hopkins.
Run. My man.
That's the thing that good teams do. You know, they had a bad thing happen early with the bad snap on the 3rd down punt and gave up 3 points, which was good to only give up 3. Now Ronnie Hopkins with a electrifying kickoff return has them out in front.
First tough break of the night goes against the Calgary Stampeders, but then the first good break goes for them, going the other way with a 100-yard touchdown by that man, number 15, Ron Hopkins.
Well, you know, special teams count for such a big part of the whole offensive scheme. If you can have everybody hustling and working hard on those special teams, it really can make up for some deficiencies in other areas.
Mark McLaughlin, who just missed the convert, will kick off for the Stampeders. And deep for the Roughriders, number 4, Albert Brown, and number 20, Lionel Vitale. It doesn't go far enough to get to either of the deep threats. Wilson Jones, number 32, has it and gets out to the 39. Dave McCrary led the Stampeder tacklers that time. Saskatchewan, pretty good field position to begin this drive, near the 40. Kent Austin won the starting job tonight, but the Roughriders say that he is not necessarily the number 1 quarterback. Tim McCray, Milson Jones are the runners, great inside receivers in Fairholm and Elgard, and outside it's McDonald and Don Narcisse. Austin in some difficulty, a 1-yard gain, if that, as Ken Ford got over to make the tackle.
Well, Larry Kuharich says that the strength of his defense, of course, is his linebacking crew of Lamont Jeffers, Doug Landry, and Kenny Ford. Kenny Ford, number 97, an extremely active outside linebacker. They obtained him in a trade last year with the Hamilton Tiger Cats for Scott Flagle. 77 tackles last year, the team leader.
Numbers on Kent Austin. He had some injury problems. This is 2nd and 9, Saskatchewan. Austin gets some heat, gets it away, going deep. Fairholm can't quite come up with it. Jeff Fairholm, runner-up Canadian of the Year in '88.
Willie Gaston, rough start to his '89 season. Torn hamstring. He will not be back tonight. Pat Clayton, who is the trainer for the Calgary Stampeders, telling him that put some ice on it for about a month and it might get better.
Terry Baker, averaging close to 40 last season, gets this one high with a bit of a wind behind him. On the return, a little difficulty for Faulkner. Rob Bresciani led the Saskatchewan Tacklers upfield. What a great night for a game at Old Taylor Field.
I can't believe it, John. The flags are almost completely limp. Come underneath here. We got a full house here. Like, the wind always blows. I don't know what happened. Beautiful night for football. Sun, a bit of a problem for the Stampeders as they catch those punts and kickoff returns.
52-yard kick for Baker that time, a 2-yard return for Faulkner. So look where the Stampeders begin from at the 20-yard line. It's Danny Barrett at quarterback. Good fake by Barrett as he fires out to the far side after sending Petros into the middle. Harry Skipper, the tackle on Sean Faulkner.
Really good play selection for Danny Barrett. Keep it pretty simple. 3 receivers to one side of the field and just try and hit Sean Faulkner out in the flat. Good high percentage pass, a pass that Faulkner should have been able to catch, but little Richie Hall, all 5'6", 160 pounds of him, puts on a pretty good hit.
2nd down and 10 to go for Barrett and the Stampeders. Barrett has time and then slips down. Big charge that time by the Roughriders. Front 4. Lewis was there. Jurison was there. James Curry was there. And Gary Lewis got there first.
Well, there's no question on defense the Saskatchewan Roughriders like to be attackers. Richie Hall on the safety blitz, and they just didn't have enough people up front to pick up everybody and freed up Gary Lewis, 79, and he comes up with a sack.
Brent Matic, his average in preseason 43.9. Into a bit of a breeze. Low snap. Good kick out near midfield. Lionel Vitale for Saskatchewan on the return. His first game in the CFL. The Rough Rider backup this night, Tom Burgess. At the Stampeder bench, a bit of a happy story for Calgary so far on a 100-yard touchdown return by Ron Hopkins. Stampeders missed the converts, but they lead the Rough Riders 6-3. We're in the first quarter with 9 minutes, 40 seconds to go. Ted Heath, one of the Rough Rider assistants, not the band leader. Saskatchewan is a rather musical team. They've got James Ellingson, too. They call him the Duke.
The Duke.
The Duke.
I wonder why.
First and 10 Rough Riders. This is McCray. Good top running inside.
Tim McCray. McCray met by 68.
7 yards. It'll be 2nd and 3.
Well, Timmy McCray had his best year last year in '88 with over 751 yards rushing and pretty good blocking up front. Roger Aldag, of course, you expect that from him. He's won the Mack Truck Award 4 times, an award that is voted on by the defensive lineman in the Canadian Football League, who is the toughest offensive guy that pass blocks against them, and 4 times, that's not bad.
He works for a Mack Truck distributorship in Saskatchewan, too.
Only seems right.
Owned by my old friend Ted Bale. 2nd and 3. Rough Riders across midfield.
Ball carriers 32 Mills.
Jones carried that time, and it'll be
You know, the tackle's
close, I'd
10
say.
forward, number
Kind of
97.
a closer look.
You know, John, as I look back at the 1988 season, I think this was the one area in the Rough Rider offense that they really, really excelled at, was that short yardage situation. I mean, it probably happened, but I can't recall it happening too many times where Milson Jones was stopped in a short yardage situation. And even if this is a couple of inches shorter, what Gregory will go for it because he has so much confidence in his offensive line and, of course, Milson Jones.
The dog says half a yard.
Short by about that much. 3rd and 1.
So the slot backs come out and they send a little more beef in there for a 3rd down, less than a yard to go situation. 8:43 to go till halftime. Austin keeps himself.
And Austin keeps the ball.
Lamont Jeffers, number 95, thinks that Calgary may have stopped the Rough Riders on that 3rd down gamble.
Request for measurement by the officials.
Didn't look like Austin got down quickly enough, did it, Leith? He seemed to go in.
He went in pretty
little
high,
high.
you know, and he's 6'3" to begin with, and this is going to be awfully close. I think Lamont Jeffers might be right.
There is a rule in the Canadian Football League that players are not supposed to stand in front of those markers. But
Is that so we can see it?
So we can see, and the fans can see. But at these moments, everyone is a little anxious. They're going to remeasure from the sidelines and take the chains out once more. Referee John Ireland was not pleased with where they spotted the chains. (6-3) Stampeders. First quarter at Taylor Field, Regina. First night of the year, at least the regular year in Canadian football in the Western Division. Any portion of the ball, and the Rough Riders have their first down. 9 points on the board, but that was the first down of the game.
Kind of like what you said, John. He did go in pretty high, and I think he was very fortunate to pick up the first down. That's why I say give it to Milson Jones, then you don't have to worry about it.
Rough Riders first down at the Calgary 51. Austin in trouble and down. He almost stumbled right at midfield.
Tripped up by number 45.
Well, they had some great coverage downfield on the right side. Chris Major and David McCrary did a super job on Donald Narcisse and Ray Elgard. They were in his zone coverage and just squeezed down those lanes. Austin had nowhere to throw. And when your receivers don't get open, you're going to get pressure sooner or later up front.
The Riders lose 4. This is 2nd and 14. Right on the line. Austin looks to a wide open receiver, and great defensive coverage. It's picked off by the Calgary Stampeders. Greg Peterson. Stampeders have turned over a couple of pretty big plays so far in this one. Austin floated that one a little bit long.
Well, Austin had the receiver wide open downfield. I believe it was, let's take a look, Jeff Fairholm, and he was home and cooled out. Had Austin been able to get the ball to him, Derek Taylor tips it, and Greg Peterson, number 24, the free safety, comes up with the interception. And once again, the Calgary Stampeder defense tightens it down.
Another drive stalled for the Rough Riders. Calgary, decent field position beginning at the 35. Barrett over the middle as his man, Tim Petros, down near the 42.
Tim Petros, number 12.
What they did, John, for Danny Barrett was they brought him in, and they certainly didn't expect him to learn the whole Calgary offense in a few days. They just took the game plan that they wanted to use against Saskatchewan and just had him learn those plays. So it's a simplified offense, but it's the offense they wanted to use anyway against Regina.
Barrett faces a 2nd and 3 now. And Petros comes up a little bit short. they miss by, Leaf?
Well, about 1.5 yards.
Grashevich, number 74, is shaken up, and the Roughriders are a little thin at linebacker with Steve Crane on the sideline. The backup for Grashevich is Donovan Wright, who is really a defensive back, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, John. I'm sure he could fill in there, and they just give up a little bit on the forcing on the run plays. Certainly wouldn't hurt them in pass coverage.
Your old trainer on the job down there, Leaf?
Old Ivan Gutfried's been around with the Saskatchewan Roughriders for quite some time. Had a chance to go in and see Ivan before the game. He looked very well, and is an excellent trainer.
6:29 to go, opening quarter. Stampeders lead the Roughriders by 3 at 6-3.
Dan Rasevich really filled in capably for the Roughriders last year. You know, Steve Crane went down, and with 6 games to go, Dan came in and had 42 tackles in 6 games. And boy, it's that kind of Canadian backup strength that really helps your ball club. And Saskatchewan has some really good Canadian talent.
Another member of a Calgary Vanier Cup team, Brent Matic, number 4 in his rookie season. And they whistle the play down. Somebody got a quick start. 3rd down repeated.
Well, there he goes, no question about that. And
Mr. Skipper.
well, Harry's pretty good at blocking the punts, but Harry's got to do it legitimately. He can get in there with that great speed of his.
Matic again. Pretty good kick. Down near the 20. Lionel Vitale on the return. Rasevich getting some repairs on the sidelines from Dr. Jack Alexander. Stampeders in front by 3, but it's early. Welcome back to Taylor Field in Regina. The Roughriders and the Stampeders renewing a rivalry that dates back a year or two. It's been a pretty good one over the years. Recently, it is the Calgary Stampeders holding the advantage. Well, this is a great ballpark.
Well, it really is, John. I, of course, had 4 fabulous years out here in Regina. Enjoyed playing here very much, and one of the main reasons was the great fans that they have here in Regina. And of course, they travel in from so many different parts of the province to support their riders. And
from Dysart and Kindersley and Carnarvon and Southey, the mayor of Southey out there. Our old pal Dennis.
Yeah, that's a bit of a surprise. Hamilton Tiger Cats, well, with Mike Kerrigan back.
They got a quarterback.
They have a quarterback. They certainly do. Rocky DiPietro's back. Tony Champion, a pretty good receiving corps. And, of course, Hamilton always good on defense. The Argonauts would love to have that opening win, though, in front of that big Skydome crowd tonight.
One of the oldest stadiums here in Regina. It's one of the newest, the newest, one of the newest anywhere in the world, the Skydome. Different venues completely. This is a nice place to watch a football game.
Well, you can't,
particularly on a night like tonight.
On a night like tonight, and you cannot get a bad seat in the house at Taylor Field.
Roughrider first down. Kent Austin inside. Don Narcisse has the catch. They're expecting big things from Narcisse in 1989. Tackle by Chris Major.
Well, last year, Don Narcisse had a stress fracture in the lower leg, and he only played in 10 games, only had 21 catches, but he is a guy, as we talked about in our opening, that they're really counting on to kind of balance this receiving core out. You know, Ray Elgard and Jeff Fairholm carry the load.
And they get a lot of coverage. This is Nelson Jones, and he has nowhere to go.
I think I jinxed him when I gave him the big accolades for the short yardage, and now he gets stuffed. Milson became a free agent last year, released, of course, by the Edmonton Eskimos, picked up by Regina, and just a little over a year has become a real team leader on the Rough Rider Club.
Sean Faulkner dropped back deep for this kick. Terry Baker at his 21. Another big kick for Baker down near the 22. Faulkner on the return. Riders with good coverage upfield this time. Flag is down. Bob Poley led the tacklers. Poley arrived back in Regina from Calgary last season to join his old mates. He is the backup center and handles the long snap. First flag of the night. Faulkner shaken up on the return.
Illegal block. Calgary number 49. First down.
Frank Balkovic out of the University of Toronto got caught.
No, John, it was funny. Bobby Layden, our statistician, he and I were sitting around this afternoon talking about the Calgary Stampeders, and that last year they only averaged about 298 yards a game on offense, which was 7th in the league. But we both decided it really didn't matter because Winnipeg was last and they won the Grey Cup, so I guess it doesn't mean a whole lot.
Sometimes the numbers are, in fact, and indeed deceiving. Barrett at quarterback for the Stampeders with a 1st and 10 from the 12. Quick pitch to Petros. Top runner Tim Petros gets out across the 15. Dave Albright made the tackle.
Well, you know, you think of Bobby Jurison as just a great pass rusher, but watch as he comes upfield. He gets the double team and everything, but he is so strong and quick. Craig Watson, number 64, blocking on him, but he's able to string the play out. Of course, when that happens, Petros has to cut back up inside, and there's lots of help from Bobby Jurison's friends.
Mark at a gain of 6. This is 2nd and 4, Calgary. Stamp still deep in their own zone. They lead it by 3 at 6-3, and Petros is down. Good penetration by Bobby Jurison, number 71. Good ball player.
Well, John, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of fans home in Calgary saying, why the heck on 2nd and long are we not throwing the football? But, you know, you've got a 6-3 lead. You're deep in your own territory. You've got a quarterback that knows just a limited part of the offense. So I think this is pretty smart move. Just hand off and take your lumps and hope that Brent Maddich can get a good punt away, and your defense has to play well. Calgary has to be patient and really pick their spots on offense where they want to really force that ball in downfield with the longer passes.
Brent Maddich across his goal line. Some pressure. He got it away. It is not deep. Lionel Vitale. Good return for the Roughriders to get excellent field position for Saskatchewan's next offensive sequence. Flag is down, however. Hang on 1 second. 3:58 to play. The opening quarter at Taylor Field, Regina.
Illegal block. Saskatchewan number 22. First down.
Donovan Wright in his rookie year. Top of the screen. It was a little difficult to see, however. But Mr. Ireland saw it. That's really all that counts. 1st and 10 Roughriders from the 50. McCray gets maybe a yard. 75, Stu Laird there for the tackle. Pretty good year for Laird in '88. 11 sacks, 54 solo tackles.
Well, 11 sacks was the team leader in 1988 for Stu Laird. 5th-year pro at the University of Calgary.
Second and 9. Austin will air it out if he gets a chance. He's to the outside and slides, or at least tries to go down. Gain of 7. Major was there to make the tackle.
Calgary's doing a great job in that defensive secondary. They're really shutting down and playing Ray Elgard and Jet Fairholm tight up at the line of scrimmage, and that's forcing Austin to have to get out of the pocket and run with the football. He simply has no one to throw to. He cannot pick up the first down.
3rd down and 3. Austin gives way for Dave Ridgway with Suter holding at the 50. Ridgway has hit from here. Flag down. Ridgway has the depth, and the Roughriders have a tie pending the outcome of this penalty. And I would think it's likely against the Calgary Stampeders as Ridgway connects. Now they'll discuss some options here. Possible first down, of course, on 3rd and 3. What do you do? Take a 50-yard field goal and keep going? I guess you keep going.
Well, there's an old adage, you never want to take points off the scoreboard, but I have to take it.
Calgary, first down.
Roughriders take the first down. It's John Gregory's decision.
Don't say that. Hey.
2:33 left in the opening quarter. Stampeders lead the hometown Riders by 3. Wilson Jones coming out of the backfield has the catch and drags a couple of Stampeders inside the 30. Chris Major was along for the ride, Leaf.
Well, it was, John. I mean, that's a good throw by Kent Austin, a good read. They are covering those inside and outside receivers so tightly downfield. You've got to dump the ball off to your running backs quickly and give them a chance to not only catch it, but have a time to run with it, too. And that was an excellent call and throw by Kent Austin. Now finds himself in 2nd and short.
Lionel Vitale, number 20, is in the backfield for the Roughriders. And that's a Saskatchewan first down on 2nd and 1. Know this guy, Leaper?
Tell you, you were out here a lot longer than I was. I suspect he's a friend of yours.
Could well be. Try and unmask him later on this evening. 1:28 in the opening quarter. 6-3. Stampeders have the lead. The Roughriders have a first down at the Calgary 25. Austin over the middle. On the money. Jeff Fairholm. First catch of 89. In front of Derek Taylor, number 21.
Excellent read by Kent Austin. He had a feeling that the blitz was coming, and he had the perfect pattern call. Just a little quick post by the 2 inside receivers. There you see Elgard underneath, and Fairholm a little farther downfield. Dives and makes a great catch. And boy, oh boy, that's a tough place to cover an inside receiver.
Austin looking to the end zone, gets pressure. Man alone, but he can't get to Don Narcisse. Stampeders have put some pressure on Mr. Austin tonight. They have forced him to throw when he didn't want to.
Well, I've talked about the tight coverage downfield, and maybe this is one of the reasons why Ray Elgard trying to work his way down, and David McCrary has a pretty good hold on him, wouldn't you say?
Let's polka. The pass went in the other direction. 2nd and goal from the 8. Flags down. Austin to the end zone, and McCray couldn't drag it in. Procedure call against Saskatchewan. General manager Alan Ford taking over the Roughriders as the new GM, with assistant Larry Mueller stepping up.
Al will do a good job. He has a real feel for not only Regina but the whole province. He knows what it takes to attract the people to Taylor Field, and he's a winner. He was a winner as a player.
62. Decline. 3rd down.
Penalty declined on Vic Stevenson. Injury for another Stampeder. Tough to pick up the number, Leaf.
John, I've been impressed with the Stampeder defense so far in the first quarter. They have really tightened it down at crucial times. The defensive backfield really played well, had a good first quarter, a little bit of pressure up front. Of course, that was an area that Larry Kuharich was not overly concerned with coming into the season. He knew he had some pretty good personnel. I think the only unknown factors would be how well Mitchell Price and Vernell Quinn would play up front to give some more pressure. But defensively, he was not too worried. And how about John Helton coming back to the Stampeders? It's good to see him back in the league.
What a great guy Helton is, and what a great player he was through all those years with the Stampeders and the Blue Bombers. Very enthusiastic about his defense. knows he has to watch up front a little bit with the newcomer Vernell Quinn, number 45 in the lineup for the first time. Stu Laird is the injured player, and that will give Helton a little more heartache right now.
Well, they will miss Stu Laird. He was the sack leader, of course, as we mentioned last year. What's interesting about John Helton, every time I see him year after year, he still looks as though he could play.
Really does, doesn't he? Great shape.
Unbelievable.
Well, that'll hurt the Stampeder front four with Stu Laird heading to the dressing room. Kent Warnock is listed as the backup along that defensive line. Here is Dave Ridgway. Chip shot from the 15, and Ridgway is good. So Ridgway's stats remain the same, but he doesn't have that 50-yarder that he kicked a few moments ago. He has a 15-yarder to put down.
We could have saved a lot of time.
Could have saved some time. That evens it, 6-6. Final 13 seconds of the opening quarter just ahead.
How about a guy like Dave Ridgway, though? Last year, 55 of 66 in the field goal department. I mean, that's unbelievable.
New CFL record.
Yeah.
Record for points in a season with 215.
Well, John, you know what it does? It just makes life for a quarterback so much easier. Like, you know, when you get inside the other team's 50-yard line, I mean, you've got a good chance of coming up with 3 points every time you do it. And, of course, your play selection would be a little different when you know you got the great field goal kicker.
He is a great one, and he holds a couple of CFL records already. He's charging in on some more, but how about that 60-yard field goal that he has as a record? I mean, all you need is one first down.
That's right.
Hand it to Ridgway.
Well, you don't have to, you know, you can be a little more conservative when you get in the other team's end, and I know makes a big difference. I remember Tom Wilkinson. He used to always change his thinking when he had Dave Cutler banging him through all the time.
Stacey Dossey lets it roll by him. Dossey, number 81. Played 4 games for Calgary in 1988. Scored his first CFL touchdown against the Roughriders late in the season. It was a crucial loss for Saskatchewan, if you recall, at that stage last season when they were gunning for top spot in the Western Division. And
illegal kickoff. Saskatchewan.
And missed out on first place.
Well, they had
a tie with the Eskimos and lost it on 4 and against.
Yeah. They had a tough run around the 14, 15, 16 game mark last year.
The season ended a little early, the regular season for them. They did make the playoffs, however. John Gregory got them there. Ridgway from the 30. Stacey Dossey under it. Stacey Dossey bobbled it. Now, across the 25. Decent return considering how the play develops. And Elgard made the stop. Stampeders begin just outside the 30. 6 seconds left in the opening quarter. All even at 6.
Well, Danny Barrett's got a little better field position with which to work now, and I suspect you're going to see him try and throw the ball a little farther downfield now.
Yep. Good call, Leaper. That's what he had in mind, but he put it in the dirt near the 40. Mojave Jerrison. Pretty good smash coming through here. Willis was the intended receiver, and that is the final play of the opening quarter. Things are all even at Taylor Field in Regina. The Stampeders have 6, and so do the hometown Saskatchewan Roughriders. So far, a happy time at Taylor Field in Regina. The Roughriders and the Stampeders locked in a 6-6 tie. First play of the second half. Coming up, it is a Stampeders 2nd and 10. Calgary at the 34. That is Danny Barrett at quarterback. Barrett's over the middle, and Andy McVeigh is close to a first down. Dave Albright made the stop from his middle linebacking position.
Well, I don't think we can expect a great deal more from Danny Barrett in the offense so far early in the game. You have to stay with the high percentage passes. Little dump pass over the middle to Andy McVeigh. I hope that McVeigh can maybe break a tackle or two and pick up the first down. However, he didn't. Brett Matic has to come in and punt. But as long as the game is close, and in this case it's tied, I don't think you're going to see Danny Barrett take too many chances.
Matic. This one is going to Albert Brown. And Brown gets to the 30. Not much more. Stampeders are playing it toughly. They've been sharp on special teams, have a touchdown thanks to a special team kick return of 100 yards by Ron Hopkins.
Well, not a whole lot of total yardage for both teams. Saskatchewan only 36. The Stampeders minus 28. And of course, that was that bad long snap on a third down punt that really killed their total yardage for the first quarter.
Let's see what Ken Austin can do here with a first down. Tim McRae. Not flashy, but he gets the job done.
Well, you know, he's been one of my favorites in Saskatchewan's in the 4 years he's been here. It always seems like game after game he gives you a tremendous performance.
No help. They keep him on the side. You got an uncovered receiver. Okay, fucking shame, offense. Go on, Mike.
Just got the tail end of that. I don't know the exact plan, do you? 2nd and 2, Saskatchewan. Nelson Jones has the first down. Greg Peterson made the stop. Nelson is back on form, just like you said he would be.
He is. You know, you always think of him as a big bruising runner, straight ahead, run him over, but he actually makes a nice little sidestep at the line of scrimmage to find a hole and pick up that first down. Have a look at that move right here. A little dipsy doodle back and finds a seam, and Saskatchewan Roughriders pick up a first down.
Austin in some difficulty, and he's down in the grasp that time of Gene Beliveau.
It's hard to believe Eugene Beliveau has been in the CFL for 10 years. Started, of course, with the old Montreal Alouettes, 5 years there, now 5 years with the Stampeders, in his 47th consecutive game tonight. And he picks up his first sack of the year.
Graduate about 10 years ago of St. FX out on the East Coast. Austin on 2nd and 19, has to go to the air. Fairholm has the catch. He's back to the original line of scrimmage. David McCrary made the stop for Calgary.
That's great defense by Stampeders. I mean, they knew the situation. 2nd and 20. Sit
Let
back.
him catch it.
Sure, sit back in a deep zone. Let them throw that underneath one and come up and make the play and get the ball back. I've been impressed with the Stampeder defense so far tonight. Both defenses, as a matter of fact.
Terry Baker on 3rd down. Had a good night so far, but had one pretty good boot. This time, into the wind. It is not a stiff breeze in Saskatchewan. It is another good kick by Baker. Stacey Dossie on the return. Good flash of speed for Dossie. Eddie Lowe on the tackle at the 22. Make that the 27.
Flag on the play.
Well, that's usually all it takes, John, and on a punt return, is if you can get through that first wave, you usually have yourself a big return. Stacey Dossie looked like he was through there, but wrapped up just at the last second. That's what you need, though, is that explosive burst through the hole. 53-yard punt. Our old pal Bob Foley kind of flagged at him going down there. Bob's back with the Roughriders, of course, after being released by the Stampeders last year.
Call is going against Calgary here.
Holding. Calgary number 68. First down.
Kid Warnock. Now Warnock is listed as a backup on the offensive line and the defensive line for the Stampeders. He is
valuable
and currently playing for the injured Stu Laird. 1st and 10 Calgary, deep in their own zone. They begin at the 8. Danny Barrett quickly to the outside. Larry Willis has his first catch, but he has nowhere to go. Willis had some kind of a year in 1988, 73 catches, 1,328 yards. He won't remember his first catch in 1989 for anything but the reception because he didn't make any yards. Jurison.
Well, it's a good percentage pass, not only for Barrett, but for Larry Willis, because he's the kind of guy with his speed and moves that he can break one of these. Unfortunately for him, that time, the Saskatchewan Roughrider defense reacted so well, he had no room.
71, Bobby Jurison came a long way to get in on that play. 2nd and 11 for Barrett and the Stampeders. Barrett calmly throws to the far side and gets himself out of a big amount of trouble with newcomer Brock Smith bringing it in. He's part of the Fresno connection in his first season in Calgary. Larry Willis and Brock Smith, both from Fresno State.
Well, he's like any young receiver. I asked Larry Kaharick about him yesterday. What should we expect from him? And Larry said, I don't know. He's a young guy that we think has a lot of potential. He looks good in practice, but until we get him in a regular season game, we're really not sure. But coming from Fresno State, as you mentioned, John, that's an excellent passing school, and usually the guys that come out of there have great skills.
Barrett out the middle looking for Willis. 2 Roughrider defenders are there, and he missed his target. Albert Brown and Glenn Suter covering the deep threat, Larry Willis, that time. 9:55 to the half. The Roughriders 6. The Stampeders 6. Saskatchewan has 2 Dave Ridgway field goals. Calgary has a 100-yard kick return touchdown for Ron Hopkins. There's old Gainer. He's been on the sidelines a long time.
Yeah, he's my pal. Gainer the Gopher.
2nd and 10. Barrett eludes the first wave, but he goes down. Eddie Ray Walker has his first sack. Now, how has that right side of the Roughriders secondary been playing, Leaf, with Albert Brown, the rookie, on the corner, and Eddie Ray Walker, the rookie, inside?
Well, they haven't had a whole lot of work so far today, John, but Albert Brown's a guy that's been with the Roughriders off and on for 3 years. Eddie Ray Walker has been around for 4 years. In fact, in 1985, played 16 games. So it's not like they've got completely new personnel in there. These guys have some experience.
Matic, high kick. Lionel Vitale, number 20, has it bounced by him. Now it's a long way back to get any yards out of that kick return. He grabbed maybe 2. James Curry. A quieter James Curry, they tell us, in Saskatchewan this year. Well, he'll explode before it's over, I'll bet. Here's the score. We'll be right back. Our first game of the week for a brand new season of Canadian football on TSN, coming to you live from Taylor Field in Regina, all even, with 9:07 to play. In the opening half, good crowd at Taylor Field.
I think so far you would call this a defensive battle.
It has been.
There's not been a whole lot of offense by either team.
Want to spell along here, Leaf? Say, do you want to spell along? All right. Terry Baker has had a great night kicking the football.
Have a final score for you here.
Averaging over 50.
It's all over. Hamilton 24, Toronto 15.
Surprise out-of-town final. Ticats win their first match with the Argonauts in the Sky Dome. Here at Taylor Field, out across the 30-yard line, short of the first down. Milson Jones. Chris Major made the stop on Jones.
Well, they continue to squeeze down those inside lanes where Kent Austin would like to throw the football to both Elgard and Fairholm. He has no choice but to dump it off to Milson Jones. And that linebacking crew of the Stampeders is reacting so quickly, they're not getting any yardage on those pass plays in the flat.
Kent Austin back in a hurry. Decides to carry himself close to the first down as he crosses the 35. Vernell Quinn made the stop.
Well, this is not what John Gregory would like to be doing on a lot of series so far tonight. Kent Austin has had to run with the football, and although he's not a bad runner, he's certainly not a great runner, and the offense is not designed that way. Quite simply, they're running a lot of crossing patterns over the middle with the inside receivers. Calgary's doing a great job of covering them, and Austin has to run.
Terry Baker once more this time. He steps across the 25. Stacey Dossey waits at his 25. Dossey has speed and has a lane. One man back. And Dossey will score. The Stampeders have their second special team touchdown. Welcome to the CFL, Stacey Dossey. He did play 4 games in 1988. This is his first full season as a starter in Calgary. And opening night's a night to remember. Special team.
Unbelievable, John. We just talked on the last punt return that if you could get through the first wave, you got a chance for a big one. And Tracy Dossey, with that excellent speed, gets through, and there's no contest when he moves around Terry Baker, the punter. And we've got an 85-yard punt return for a touchdown. And I guess it doesn't matter if your offense is not playing that great if you have a 100-yard kickoff return and an 85-yard punt return.
No mistake about the convert that time by Mark McLaughlin. As the fans quiet down a little bit at Taylor Field, they've seen a couple of long runs for touchdowns go against the Roughriders. It's 15-6 Calgary.
Well, special teams continues to be the story tonight for the Calgary Stampeders. 49-yard punt by Terry Baker, but it goes the other way, 85 yards, as Stacey Dossey collects his first touchdown of 1989, and the Calgary Stampeders are ahead 13-6 in the second quarter.
Dossey made 2 great moves on the run. The last one on the punter, Terry Baker, and there you see Mr. Dossey around for a brief stint in 1988. Looks like he may be here to stay in 1989.
Well, Erica Herrick described him as little and quick. We saw the quick part.
We sure did. This is Albert Brown on the kick return for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Can he do it too? Not quite, but he wasn't far away from breaking it. Out to the 50. Jay Christensen.
Well, he makes the saving tackle, Jay Christensen, because Albert Brown, with some great acceleration, has a hole, a gap, and just finally tripped up by number 88, Jay Christensen.
Good play by Christensen. Good return. Now Austin to the offense for Saskatchewan as Tim McRae, short of a first down, but a decent gain. 7:25 till the half. Stampeders lead it 13-6.
Well, still, it's the same old thing for the Roughriders. They have to dump the ball off to the running backs, and they're just not getting the kind of production on first down that I'm sure John Gregory would like to see them. They're the kind of team that would like to be, of course, about 6 or 7 yards on first down, not just 5.
Second down and 6 to go. Early movement from the Stampeders. Or was it illegal procedure? Hillebrand might have moved early. Ken Warnock was in the backfield very quickly.
That looked like number 61, Brian Hillebrand, jumped the count just a little bit.
Good call, Leaf.
Procedure. Saskatchewan number 6. Second down.
Brian Hillebrand, I recall when I was playing here with the Roughriders, he came out for the team as a junior from the Regina Rams, and 12 years later, he's still going strong.
So are a couple of other Ram graduates like Aldag and Bob Foley.
Right.
Here's Austin on 2nd and 11. Milson Jones, the safety valve. Jones has the first down. Good play, Milson Jones. Derek Taylor made the stop. Milson got the Roughriders out of some deep trouble.
Well, you know, that's a great call. They haven't had any success getting the ball into the inside or outside receivers downfield. Calgary's dropping off those linebackers, so the screen becomes the perfect play to call. Milson Jones gets the blocks up front for Brian Hillebrand. He vindicates himself a little bit for that procedure call, and a nice first down.
Roughriders 1st and 10 from the 50. Austin looked to dump it off again, but missed the target that time.
Well, I guess Ken Austin said if it works once, we can do it again right away. And they try and set up the screen. By that time, Calgary was ready for it. 74. Mitchell Price read it so quickly. He was out there and actually had a better chance to catch the football.
6:01 till the half. 2nd and 10, Roughriders at the Stampeder 50. Austin lost the ball, and the Stampeders have recovered. Costly turnover for Saskatchewan. They were getting close to Ridgeway territory, but Austin messed up the exchange from center.
John, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he just tried to get away from that center a little too soon. He saw the safety blitz coming with Greg Peterson, and Austin knew he was going to have to get the ball quickly and dump it off as fast as he could. So I think maybe just a case of stepping away from Mike Anderson too quickly. Nice break for the Stampeders. You know, they, other than that one bad snap on the 3rd down punt, you know, they haven't done anything to beat themselves. And of course, that's the key when you come in as an underdog.
Excellent field position for the Stampeders. They begin this sequence from the 52. Barrett, as time looks long for Larry Willis. Willis, a magic catch down to the 5. What a great catch in front of Harry Skipper.
Andy Barrett to Larry Willis.
Barrett and Willis, a perfect combination.
Well, it's not like he's picking on the easy guy either. Harry Skipper, of course, been an all-star so many times, and Larry Willis just simply outfought him for the football. 52-yard catch after the fumble. They come up with a big play.
1st down, goal to go. Stampeders at the 6. Biggest play of the night for Calgary offensively. Petros had some difficulty in there. The Roughriders, Bobby Jurison, saying the fumble is going the other way. But that is not the case.
Nope. Stampeders recovered. Boy, that's a tough place to run the football. You know, you're 1st and goal at the 6.5-yard line against a front 4 that's and a defense that was #1 in the league last year with essentially the same personnel.
Barrett and the Stampeders. 2nd down. Goal to go from the 7. To the sidelines. It was not the right play to call. Skipper makes the tackle right after the catch. Stacy Dossie made the reception but got nowhere.
Well, you know, I'm sure Danny Barrett's thinking, heck, we got a sure 3 down here. I'm going to throw something safe out to Stacy Dossie. If he breaks the tackle and we get a touchdown, that's great. If he doesn't, we're still going to get the 3 points.
It's a good name, Stacy Dossie, isn't it? Sounds like he's fast.
Nice ring to it.
This is Mark McLaughlin. No problem from that range as the Stampeders add to their lead on the Roughriders at Taylor Field in Regina. Big night for Calgary so far. A couple of long touchdown runs, and they lead it 16-6. And Peroni adjusting to life as a Calgary Stampeder.
Saw Dan yesterday afternoon, and of course for him initially it was a shock to not have been protected by the Argonauts last year at the equalization draft, and not in the Argonauts' wildest dreams did they suspect anybody would pick up a Dan Peroni, but Calgary did. And of course after the shock wore off and Dan got a chance to go out and visit Calgary and see what it was going to be like, he's enjoying it out there and with the young team.
There's J.R. Dillard Leaf, his father. Used to be a player in the Canadian Football League. You may remember Jim Dillard, former Stampeder. Well, J.R. makes his CFL debut tonight.
His father, Jim Dillard, just a big, bruising fullback.
.337 till halftime. Stay with us at the half with Peter Watts. Our special features, Richie Hall. Austin over the middle. Fairholm has the catch. Gain of 5. Derek Taylor made the stop. How do you assess Austin's performance so far tonight?
Well, I think he's been pretty conservative. It seems as though all he wants to do is throw to the inside receivers, and then when he, of course, gets in trouble running with the football, they seem to have run that crossing pattern with Jeff Airholm and Ray Elgart time and time again, but the Calgary defense has done a good job covering it.
2nd and 5. Austin will throw again. This time it's batted down, almost picked off. Doug Landry got his big mitts on it, but couldn't quite bring it down.
Big addition for the Stampeders was to get Doug Landry last year, and he was traded, of course, for Harold Hallman, who went to the Argonauts. Landry led the CFL linebackers with 6 interceptions, so not surprising he was there to knock that one down.
3-minute warning. Larry Kuharek has his Stampeders out in front of John Gregory's Saskatchewan Roughriders by 10 points. 3 to go to the half. The Roughriders' season debut at home, at least so far, with a 10-point lead into the final 3 minutes of the opening half. A couple of big kick return touchdowns for Calgary. Ron Hopkins has one. Stacey Dossey has one. And it is Dave Ridgway responsible for the Saskatchewan scoring so far. It's been a tough night for both teams. A couple of injuries.
The Saskatchewan Roughriders women's night will be held this year Friday, October.
Well, gentlemen, it's been a tough first half of football, certainly on the Calgary side, with Sean Faulkner's on the bench now, struggling a little bit with a left knee problem. The big casualty, though, is the starting defensive end, Stu Laird. Just talked to him. He was taken off late in the first quarter. He has torn ligaments, medial collateral in the right knee. He's got a cast on. He tells me 2 months. Not sure what the doctors will say. Gentlemen?
Terry Baker on 3rd down. Worst kick of the night. Baker had some boomers earlier, but he gets the good bounce as Stasi overreacts a little bit. Stasi near the 30.
You know, that is a real tough break, losing Stu Laird, because not only you lose a Canadian, which is tough to find on the defensive front four. I mean, he's your sack leader from last year, and a guy that's been around for 5 years with the Stampeders and a team leader for them.
Stand by for a good halftime show tonight.
The Roughriders have an injury with Rasevich out, number 74. Jeff Treflin is in from a backup safety position, playing a little bit closer to the line. So we'll see if the Stampeders can exploit that weakness in the Roughrider defense. Danny Barrett, good speed as always. Sliding at the 32. Right in front of Gary Lewis, number 79.
I'm sure this is one of the main reasons why Larry Kuharek wanted to play Danny Barrett tonight, if he'd been able to grasp enough of the offense. And, of course, that was for his running ability. When you go up against the gang, the notorious front four of the Riders, you want a quarterback that's pretty mobile and able to get away from the pursuit. That time he only picked up about 3 yards, but of course better than a loss.
On 2nd and 7, Barrett drops back. Pressure is on. Barrett can't get away from all of those Rough Riders. Goldsmith is there, number 70. Curry gave him the helping hand.
Well, Vince Goldsmith is the all-time sack leader for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and he keeps working against the right offensive tackle, Leo Branchard. Nice spin at the end there, and he wraps up Danny Barrett. Has his first sack of the 1989 season. Vince, of course, Shenley Rookie of the Year way back in 1981.
Badich on 3rd down. Across the 20 to get that kick away. It is deep. 2 Rough Riders after it. That is Albert Brown, number 4, with it. Nice dance, Albert, but no yards.
That was a nice pirouette, wasn't it? Got him about an extra yard and a half.
Did it?
Oh, it was a good move. He's been to Arthur Murray.
Or the Royal Winnipeg. 1:44 till halftime. 2-yard return, 60-yard kick. The punters are booming them in Regina tonight. 1st and 10, Rough Riders. McCray makes the catch. About 6. What's on at the half, Pete?
Well, we got a couple of things, gentlemen. We've got highlights of the Hamilton-Toronto game, a big night for Al Bruno and company at the Sky Dome. And we'll also meet Richie Hall, who's been actively involved in some community service work here in Saskatchewan. He's done a lot of work in the last few months on the alcohol and drug education program for the province, and we'll talk to him at the half.
This is 2nd and 4. Austin got it away. Tim McRae out across the 40. Important drive for Saskatchewan here right now. They trail 16-6. But they get pretty close to Ridgeway territory with another 2 first downs, don't they, Leaf?
Well, they sure do. A minute 19 is a great deal of time for Ken Austin to work that team downfield. Timmy McRae, of course, always a good all-purpose back, both running and catching the football.
Austin looking a little deeper this time to the far side. No catch. 1:08 till a half.
Well, I really believe the right side of the Calgary defensive secondary is the tough place to throw, but Ken Austin chooses to go that way, and David McCreary one-on-one with Ray Elgard is so tough. Elgard just runs out of room. Austin now is 2nd and 10.
He's back in a hurry. Time to throw. McDonald, no catch.
John, you know, that's what we talked about in the opening, and I think it's worth repeating. I think the Roughriders, if they want to be successful this year at offense, they have to get better production from the outside. I mean, Austin could not have thrown the ball any better there. Filtered it right through the open lane in the zone, and Ray McDonald ran a good pattern, but just simply couldn't come up with a catch.
With 1:03 to the half, Terry Baker once more. This time across the 30 to get it away. Gossi was waiting for it. It didn't get all the way back. And Ford, the linebacker, on the return. Not quite as speedy as Stacy Gossi.
Well, I think Ken Ford was hoping with the bounce backwards that he was going to catch 1 or 2 Roughriders in the no yards territory, but he wasn't able to do so.
He's changed his number this year, hasn't he?
Yeah, he was 41 last year. Must like the 97, I guess, a little better.
53 seconds left for Barrett. First down, Calgary. Barrett gets some pressure from Albright and Lowe. But he gets it away, and a flag goes down. Curry made the stop. Little face mask.
Major foul. Face mask. Saskatchewan number 78. First down.
Well,
Could be costly.
James Curry's been known to kind of grab the face mask the odd time, and we're going to get a good look at a good call by Danny Barrett and set up the screen to Tim Petros, rather. Mike Palumbo, 65 out front. Good block from the 85 Brock Smith, but there you see, plain as day, James Curry got the hand up on the face mask.
Barrett up first down to the 50. Good reception. Brock Smith, the newcomer, inside receiver from Fresno State. There's Eddie Ray Walker on the tackle. Now 42 seconds till a half.
That was a pretty good catch by Brock Smith, lying flat on the ground, and although Eddie Ray Walker knocks the ball loose at the end of the play, no question about that, legitimate catch.
A 5-yard gain. This is 2nd and 5. Barrett to the air, near side for Stacy Dossie. Off target slightly.
And I think Danny Barrett was really fortunate that that ball was off target, because Harry Skipper read that so quickly and had a great break on the football, and that could have easily gone the other way in a hurry. Well, you know, it's not been a great half offensively by any means for the Stampeders, but I think in one sense it's been a good half. That Danny Barrett has not made any mistakes. They haven't given the ball up other than the one bad snap on a punt. So I think from that standpoint they should be pleased. They haven't hurt themselves.
And look at the scoreboard with the Stamps leading by 10. Matic Martel on the return. Little seam, he's out to the 32, 27 seconds remaining.
Just a reminder while you're going to have time, that hot dog got one of those lucky.
Game 1 of a new season in the West Division of the CFL. Two old rivals meet at Taylor Field in Regina. The Roughriders, the Stampeders. So far, it's Calgary by 10.
Holding. Saskatchewan number 39. First down.
Not that it really matters much at this stage of things for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, but they have made a couple of mistakes, a couple of penalties have turned out costly for them. This one not that costly with just 27 seconds to go in the half, and they were deep in their own zone anyway. Jones once more.
Well, I think Calgary probably has called timeout. Yes, they have, and it's a smart play with 23 seconds left. They stop the clock and will force Saskatchewan to run at least 2 more plays. Coach Q, as they call him, seems a little more relaxed this year, Wellesley. And
Who put the Q in Q Hunter?
I don't know, because I think it was easier to say it that way. Coach Q seemed a little more relaxed yesterday.
He certainly did. And he was very good on the CFL Report pregame show as he joined us live. Gave straight answers to your inquisitive questions. 23 seconds till halftime. This is Tim McRae. Another flag comes down. This one well after the play is to...
Well, what that timeout now did is that Saskatchewan can really kill the clock with only 19 seconds remaining and 20 on the time clock, but Calgary has a chance to put everybody up on the line of scrimmage and go for the block.
Objectionable conduct. Calgary number 97. First down.
Well, that takes care of that.
Ken Ford. His 97, his brand new number. That's his first penalty with his new number.
So all that great strategy goes out the window as the Saskatchewan Roughriders can run out the clock now.
Landry being helped up now. 19 seconds till the half. It's been a long minute. This final one of the opening half at Taylor Field. (16 to 6). Stampeders lead the Roughriders. Roughriders have a 1st and 10 with this 19 seconds left on the clock. Austin goes down. Rider fans don't like that. Roughriders content to run out the clock and regroup at the half. This should be the final play of the opening half. Tim McRae. And McRae is met heartily at the 25-yard line. Lamont Jeffers made the tackle on McRae. The Roughriders head to the dressing room. Trailing by 10, he's out to the 42. Albert Brown.
Well, Ken Austin does start the second half. We speculated a little bit that Tom Burgess might get the start, but really he was the main guy last year. I know they both played in all, well, actually, Tom Burgess played 18 games and Ken Austin only played 14. He hurt the knee, but really he was the guy that started most of the games in '88.
This is a first down for Saskatchewan, and that is McRae carrying out to the 45.
I think you're going to see Timmy McRae be a big part of this second half for the Roughriders. There is the first half statistical story with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, 91 yards total offense, net yards, and net yards 52 for the Stampeders.
On second down, Austin goes deep to Don Narcisse. Oh, almost a great catch. Chris Major was with Don Narcisse covering. He almost pulled it in, Lee.
Well, Narcisse was really cutting hard to the post, and all of a sudden he had to straighten it up and go upfield because Ken Austin laid it out for him. And of course, that's what all the good quarterbacks do when they have a guy in the open. Lay it out and let your receiver go and get it. Don Narcisse could just not get underneath that ball to make the reception.
One catch for Narcisse on the Knights. Lots of punts for Terry Baker. High snap. Baker elects to carry himself and comes up short of the first down.
Number 10, Terry Baker.
McCreary made the stop on the punter, Terry Baker.
And the Saskatchewan 50.
Stampeders on the turnover have a first down at the Saskatchewan Roughrider 50. Barrett goes deep for Willis. Skipper was covering.
Well, Danny Barrett finally getting a good field position after that turnover by Terry Baker, and boy, he gets a chance to air it out just a little too far for Larry Willis.
Thank you.
13-13 to go, third quarter. Stampeders lead the Roughriders by 10 at 16-6. Draw works well to Tim Petros, who gets out across the 45 and deeper into Saskatchewan territory. Special teams got the Stampeders into this ball game, but the offense under Danny Barrett starting to work. Nice do, Ken Ford.
It's a good haircut there, and the new number, the new do, everything. New season.
Looks like a sandcastle.
Remember, everyone, John Wells said that.
You know, when you build the sandcastles and the little tails at the knees. McLaughlin. And he's good from a long way away. Stay with us following tonight's game for the Turning Point on TSN, brought to you by AC Delco. Stu Laird, and that is the tough news that the Calgary Stampeders have received so far tonight. Peter Watt suggesting that he was gone for up to 2 months.
Well, that was Stu's medical opinion. You never know what the doctors may say, and never really trust a player when he's talking about a medical prognosis, but really unfortunate for Stu Laird. He had a great 1988 season, and of course, I'm sure his expectations of his own personal performance in '89 were extremely high.
Mark McLaughlin after the field goal to give Calgary a 19-6 lead. Lionel Vitale on the return for the Roughriders. Blocking from the rear against Jurison will be called on Matt Finley.
Number 20, Lionel Vitale, there's a flag on the play.
Lionel Vitale in his first season in Saskatchewan from Nichols States.
He, of course, the designated import tonight, and quite simply, when he enters the game, he has to announce to the referee that he is taking another American's position in that offense. On the special teams for kick returns, though, it doesn't matter.
Saskatchewan number 71. First down.
The Roughriders begin at the 20. Austin in some difficulty gets away from 2 Stampeders. Almost has it intercepted by Ken Ford, number 97. Ford got a hand on it, batted it up, but it didn't come down close enough to him to pull it in for the interception.
Pretty good pursuit by number 95, Lamont Jeffers, going to the outside, and it seems like Kent Austin tonight has not had a great deal of time to throw. The fans, a little bit of a reaction to Lamont Jeffers as he hits Austin right by the sideline, but no flag thrown.
It'll be 2nd and 10, Roughriders from the 20. Austin, time to throw, looking deep. No flag. Fairholm wanted it. What do you think, Leeper?
Well, you know what, John? First reaction was Derek Taylor made a great play. Fans want the face masking call here, but I think he timed it pretty well and turned around and got that hand up and knocked the ball away from Jeff Fairholm. Nobody ever said you had to follow the ball all the way down the field. I mean, you're allowed to turn around at the last second and make the play, and I think you'll see Derek Taylor's head turn there, and that's a pretty good defensive play.
The Roughriders will kick it away again. Terry Baker at the 5. Stacy Dossey waits near the 30, has difficulty with it. Dossey took one back for a touchdown earlier. Good head of steam, but he ran into Bob Poley, number 57. 11:32 to play in the 3rd quarter. The Calgary Stampeders are surprising the Roughriders in Regina. Our game of the week live from Taylor Field, Regina. That man, Stacy Dossey, having a pretty good night.
Pretty good block thrown here on this punt return by number 3, David McCrary. Look to the right side of your screen. He comes back and gets Rob Bresciani right there. Good hit. You know what I like about Stacy Dossey is, you know, some guys kind of float and then pick a spot and accelerate. Like, he turns it on right from the moment he touches the football and really shows us that he has some outstanding speed. The old Polecats back in Regina. Bob Poley started in Regina, went to the Calgary Stampeders, and now back in Regina, where he has just opened up an establishment called the Long Branch with former Regina Rough Rider and Hamilton Tiger Cat Carm Carteri.
He's happy to be home. Pretty good athlete, Bob Foley. Played for the Regina Rams, but he's a real Regina boy. He also played hockey for the Regina Pats in the Western Canada Hockey League. Now, that was a year or 2 ago. Beautiful prairie night in Saskatchewan. A perfect evening for football. Fans at Taylor Field are getting just a little bit restless. The Roughriders have not moved the football well offensively. Let's see what the Stampeders do on 1st and 10 from the 40. Danny Barrett in some difficulty, but got it away and has a completion. Andy McVeigh, number 34, made the catch. Toronto. Here's Barrett. Fresh from the Argonauts to the near side. Intending that one for Brock Smith.
Well, you know, when you haven't had a lot of time playing quarterback, that's probably the toughest pass to throw. Out to the wide side of the field, you know, you're throwing a ball where you're only going to pick up about 10 yards, but you throw the darn thing about 30 or 40 yards. And well, your timing as a quarterback has to be so good on that kind of a pass. And Danny Barrett, I'm sure, is still a little bit rusty, even though he's just come off a training camp with the Argonauts as the 3rd-string quarterback there behind Gil Renfro and John Conchemi. I'm sure he didn't get a great deal of work.
Brett Maddock got a big charge that time. He goes down. There's no flag. On the return, Lionel Vitale. Darcy Kopp made the stop. Roughriders will begin at the 35.
That's nice. That rhymes and everything. That's very good.
10:21, third quarter. 19-16 for the visitors from Calgary. Austin is about due to get something going for the Roughriders right here. Decent field position and a first down. Tim McRae. Good hold for McRae. Good. First down for the Roughriders. Derek Taylor made the tackle on Tim McRae, who's having a pretty good night.
Well, nice line blocking up front. Watch big number 62, Vic Stevenson, comes all the way across from his right tackle spot, gets the trap block, and Timmy McRae does an excellent job running the football. And there's Tom Burgess warming up on the sidelines, and quite possibly we will see him if things don't improve in a hurry for the Saskatchewan offense.
Burgess passed for 2,575 yards last season. He was good on 48% of his passes and threw 19 touchdowns. Meanwhile, it is Ken Austin out there. Narcisse makes the catch almost to midfield. David McRae made the stop on Narcisse.
Nice pattern between Don Narcisse and Ray Elgard. A little pick where Elgard goes to the outside. Narcisse comes underneath him, and nice soft hands by Donald Narcisse as he makes this catch. Underneath David McCrary with the tackle.
2nd and 2 for the Roughriders. Just shy of midfield at the 54. Nelson Jones has difficulty. Ken Ford, 97 was there.
Great penetration. You know, that's what you hope to have in short yardage, is the defensive line nullify any surge by the offensive line, and then, of course, your three linebackers, and in this case, Jeffers, Ford, and Landry, come over the top and make the play. And number 97, Ken Ford, well, he was in the backfield almost the same time Nelson Jones took the handoff. You can see the top of your screen. Ken Ford shoots right through that gap between the guard and the center. Makes an outstanding defensive play. He's been a pretty active player tonight for the Stampeders.
3rd down. A long 2 to go. So Terry Baker will kick it away, but they fake it. Tom Burgess in. Flag down. Tough gamble to lose if it goes against the Roughriders.
Too many men. Saskatchewan. 3rd down.
See if we can count how many players were actually out there. What do you got, Lee?
13.
There you go. Baker will kick this one. Another high, deep kick. Again, Stacey Dowsey. He's flashy. Dowsey broke one earlier, as we mentioned. He goes after another one. Baker is over to make the tackle at the 55. 54-yard kick and a 44-yard return.
Well, Stacey Dossie has shown us a great deal tonight. 44 yards, as John mentioned on this one, 85 on the other. The Stampeders find themselves in excellent field position, and they are ahead in this ball game, 19-6.
8:19 left in the 3rd quarter.
Lasers. Under 16 gals. And the team is from July the 10th to the 17th. They're in action. 25 girls from Newfoundland, 25
Boy with some knee problems. Dr. Jack Alexander. He's been around the Saskatchewan Roughriders for a long time, hasn't he?
Yeah, he sure has, and really a great guy, Dr. Jack. Doctor that I know all the players respect. Stacey Dossie has had himself some evening returning punts, and he gets a little break from the offense.
On 1st down, Barrett back back over the middle. Tim Petros has a first down. The Stampeder offense is on a roll.
Well, I'm so impressed with Danny Barrett. He knows his timing is not great throwing to the outside, so a little delay to Tim Petros. Tim Petros sets up in the backfield, throws a little slow block on Bobby Jerson, then sneaks out to the outside. Watch him at the bottom left of your screen. Just sneaks in, a little block on Jerson, and then underneath, it's not a screen, it's just a delay, and Petros picks up a first down. Good offense.
Barrett to the outside that time for Stacey Dossie. No catch. Coverage by Albert Brown.
Now, that's a tough one for Danny Barrett. Dossie breaks to the outside. He's got to keep going, and Danny Barrett actually put that one right on target, but Dossie, for some reason, just seemed to stop on the play and gave up.
7:19 left in the third quarter. It is the Stampeders out in front of the Roughriders, 19-6. Second and 10, Calgary. Barrett to the far side. Larry Willis. No catch. Harry Skipper was with Willis. James Curry was with Barrett.
As he usually is with most quarterbacks around the league, but another good throw by Danny Barrett to the outside. And yes, it has been a beautiful day and a beautiful evening here at Taylor Field in Regina. Not a great night for Saskatchewan, the Roughies, or their fans here, but certainly a beautiful night for football.
Long way to go yet. Almost 7 minutes in the third quarter. McLaughlin. Another long try. This time he misses. Albert Brown elects to take it out. Roughriders will start with tough field position near the 10.
I really question that decision by Albert Brown to bring it out at this stage, 19-6. 1 point doesn't mean a whole lot. And had they decided to give up the single, it would have come back out to about the 40-yard line.
The cheer is for Tom Burgess.
Well, Tom Burgess played in all 18 games for the Roughriders last year. 48% passer on the 1988 season. 14 interceptions, but a pretty good 19 touchdowns.
First and 10 Roughriders. Burgess now at the control. To the far side. First pass. A strike. No, they rule it. No catch.
Boy, nice job by Lamont Jeffers. I mean, he knew that Timmy McRae had the catch. He just stuck his arms in there and ripped McRae's arms away from the football. Nice defense.
Second and 10. Roughriders at the 10. Burgess under pressure throws. Narcisse tries to come up with it. And it's picked off by the Stampeders. Hopkins has it. Burgess was hit just as he threw the football. And that one was up for grabs. Hopkins, good night. One interception. One kick returned for a touchdown.
Well, not the way Tom Burgess would like to start his 89 season, but in all fairness to him, he was hit just as he released the football, and Ronnie Hopkins does a great job to go up and kind of wrestle this away from about 3 or 4 players, even some of his teammates. Dave McCrary was
stole it from McCrary, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. But a big break once again for the Stampeders as they first and 10 at the Roughie 30.
Not much going that time for Calgary on first down.
It looks as though if this game's going to turn around for Saskatchewan, John, I suspect the defense is going to have to do it through some kind of turnover.
The Roughriders need a big play. They haven't had any so far tonight. Stampeders have had a couple. Barrett looking deep to the end zone. Willis, touchdown. Larry Willis, his first touchdown of the season. Barrett has given the Stampeders a big lead. Barrett to Willis. Nice play.
Unbelievable catch. 30-yard touchdown pass to Larry Willis for his first of 1989, but what a tremendous effort by Larry Willis. Barrett just throws it up for grabs deep. Double coverage actually on Larry Willis as Richie Hall coming over from the inside spot just could not out-wrestle Larry Willis away from the football, and Richie Hall at 5'6". Now Larry Willis isn't much taller, but he got the good position, went up and made a tremendous catch.
McLaughlin's extra point is good. Willis has the touchdown to give the Calgary Stampeders a 20-point lead on the Saskatchewan Roughriders. 4 minutes, 52 seconds left in the third quarter, but the Roughriders are in trouble. One behind the Stampeders by 20 points. It is a big surprise. Larry Willis has his first touchdown of 1989. What's interesting about this ball game so far, I think if you look at it, the defense held Calgary in for a while. Special teams put some points on the board until Danny Barrett got into the game, got a rhythm going, and has been able to move the offense since midway through the second quarter lead.
Well, John, what he's been able to do is, you know, when he had terrible field position earlier in the game, you know, he was really conservative and said, look, the defense is going to have to bail us out until we get a better spot in the field to operate from. Now in the third quarter, they've had that, and he's been able to be a little more daring in his play selection. He's telling the guys how he did it. He said, I just threw it up, and Larry Ray made a great catch.
Actually, Barrett did not see this touchdown toss. He was on his backside. A 30-yard play. It only took the Stampeders 2 plays to score and a time of possession of 54.
Well, of course, you like to convert those turnovers, and it all started with the Ronnie Hopkins interception.
This is Albert Brown on the Rough Rider return. Out to the 40, the Riders get good field position from Brown once more. The tank, Doug Landry, made the stop.
You know, John, so many times you can really attribute to how well a team plays by how well their special teams play. And if the special team play of the Stamps has been any indication tonight, that's why they are ahead by 20 points here in the third quarter.
Ron Hopkins.
The oldest Stampeder in terms of service to the Stampeders was 7 years. Interception, kickoff return for a touchdown, not a bad night.
And this is Tom Burgess at the Rough Rider controls. On the receiving end, Tim McRae. And McRae gets out to the 50. He's close to a first down. Derek Taylor the stop on Tim McRae that time.
Rough Riders have really been happy with the crossing patterns tonight. That's what they've tried to work most of the evening. Give it to Timmy McRae. And of course, Ronnie Hopkins, after he realizes it's not going to his man, comes up and supports and makes the hit on Timmy McRae.
Fights off a good block there to get through and make the tackle as well. Burgess incomplete. 3:55 left in the third quarter. Gopher has to get, or Gaynor, the Gopher, has to get his Rough Riders moving. Here's Burgess in trouble and down. And Warnock in with the sack.
Well, of course, he's replacing Stu Laird, who's out with the knee injury tonight. And, you know, all these crossing patterns that they're running take so long to develop that it's allowing Kent Warnock and the rest of the defensive line to get that pressure on Tom Burgess.
Stampeders have been busy in that Rough Rider backfield. Terry Baker blocks another long one. Stacy Dossie starts back on the return. Exciting to watch. Glenn Suter had him that time. Smile, Larry.
Larry will not smile, I guarantee you, until this thing's over. And he has 2 points. But he has certainly had his team ready tonight, and through a fair bit of adversity, losing both Eric Kramer and the highly touted Terrence Jones. in the preseason schedule, and now kind of having to scramble with Danny Barrett, bringing him in, and he must be very pleased.
Barrett has held a hot hand in the latter stages of this game so far. Petros stops John Gregory, a little frustrated.
I would think so. Their offense set so many records last year, team records, 525 points, 49 touchdowns, which were team records, and now tonight just cannot get tracked in the first game of the season.
Offensively, the Roughriders have had difficulty getting the ball to two great inside receivers, Ray Elgard and Jeff Fairholm. Stampeders, second down and 8 to go. Barrett will throw. McVay will catch. Flag down. Curry is in the middle of things.
Who else?
Barrett was not pleased with Mr. Curry's work on that play.
Well, that's the way James likes it, though. He likes to get in there and cause a little trouble.
Initial indication is holding against the Stampeders. James Curry got his job done that time, drawing a penalty. .212 left in the third quarter. Stampeders surprising Taylor Field tonight.
Holding. Calgary. Holding. Calgary number 64. Decline. Third down.
That's Craig Watson, number 64, out of the University of Calgary. Maybe we can see it here.
Well, on the left side of your screen, there's Craig Watson blocking James Curry. He has a good hold of him, and you see Curry throw a pretty good forearm smash in the face of Danny Barrett, and that's what everybody was so excited about. I guess Curry says, you're going to hold me, I'm going to smack your quarterback.
Brent Manage. Shorter kick this time. Lionel Vital flags down again. Spallettini made the tackle on Vital.
Well, the Roughriders need a bit of a break, and doesn't look like they're going to get one. Great field position at midfield.
They have to get to the end zone, Leif. 2 Ridgeway field goals is all the Roughriders have to show on the scoreboard so far.
And I think a clip's going to bring it back a little further.
No yard. Calgary number 21. Illegal block.
Yeah.
Saskatchewan number 22. First down.
So the penalty's offset, and Saskatchewan will start at Calgary's 53.5-yard line.
1:49 to play third quarter. The Roughriders have to get rolling. Tom Burgess in relief of Austin at quarterback. Receivers well covered. He intended that for Ray McDonald.
Well, Ronnie Hopkins is having himself some night. That time Ray McDonald, no way he was going to get open. Hopkins on his hip all the way across the field and made another good play as he's done all evening.
2nd and 10 Roughriders at the Calgary 54.
I think they ought to go back to that screenplay. That's one of the few plays they've had tonight offensively that's really worked well for them.
Elgard dropped it. He doesn't drop many.
Well, they had the right play called. Blitz coming. Quick inside post to your inside receiver. And Burgess shows his frustration, and I'm sure Ray Elgard's just as upset. He doesn't do that too often, as you said, John. It has been one of those nights for the Riders.
Baker back near his 40. McCrary is deep. Again, Baker has trouble getting it away, but in the end comes out with a pretty good punt as he angles over to the far side. McCrary, not much running room. Good coverage by the Roughriders downfield. Foley made the tackle.
It'll be first and 10 Stampeders.
Well, Terry Baker's been a little edgy back there in his punting formation all night, and he thought that it had the possibility of being blocked and moved around and actually got a pretty good punt away.
So the Roughriders have Calgary hemmed in deep in the Stampeder zone from the 13, first down. The defense comes through for Saskatchewan. That's Eddie Lowe on Andy McVeigh.
Eddie Lowe's been around here for 7 years from the University of Alabama. Now the Roughriders are going to blitz and take a few more chances on defense to try and get a turnover. He comes through the gap, and no way that Calgary can gain any yards on that play.
This could be the last play of the third quarter. Barrett gets pressure, gets out of the end zone, but that's about it. He's to the 5-yard line as Gary Lewis drags Barrett down that time. Barrett did a pretty good job of avoiding a safety there.
Well, he really did, and you know, he's so deep in his own end, he doesn't want to throw up a careless pass and give Saskatchewan an easy turnover. He did the right thing, and it was a good move.
The Roughriders have another injury on the field. Albright is down. They are desperately short of linebackers already. We'll update you when... Back for the fourth quarter at Taylor Field in Regina. The Roughriders, desperately short of linebackers, have another problem with David Albright being helped off the field and out of the end zone. Dan Rasevich is out with stretched ligaments in his left knee. Steve Crane is already on the sidelines, and the Riders came into this game with really a backup defensive back as the backup linebacker. So John Gregory has some adjustments to make. But Albright is now moving under his own power, so perhaps he can get back into the game. First play of the fourth quarter will be a punt from Brent Matic to Lionel Vitale. And he'll give up 2. Good play at that point, Leaf.
Well, not a bad play. Give up a couple of points and move it out. I mean, your defense has played well. Maybe a little early in the game to do that, but that's what Coach Q gets paid to do, is make those decisions, and he decided that we're not going to punt from our own end zone.
Even though Matic is having a pretty good night, averaging 48 yards a punt. 26-8. A long way back for Saskatchewan with 1 quarter to go. Saskatchewan's decision. They'll make the Calgary Stampeders kick.
Well, you know, I can't really figure it out. I mean, if there was a huge wind and, you know, you were going to have trouble punting out of your own end zone, maybe you do it, but I think it's a little early to give up the deuce like that. You're going to have to kick it away anyway.
Peter, lots of injuries down there tonight.
Really hard, John. David Albright on the bench. They're putting a little bit of a brace on his right knee, so he might be done for the evening at least. It doesn't appear to be too serious. Lots of flexibility there, and not quite the problems that some of the others have had. But it still costs them a linebacker at a position they can ill afford to lose anybody else.
The Calgary kickoff to Albert Brown at the Roughrider 10. Brown has a good hole and lots of room to spare. Brown cut from behind at the 35. Albert Brown. Maybe that's the play the Roughriders have been waiting for. Derek Taylor caught Albert Brown and saved the touchdown. 65 yards. The Riders have great field position.
Tremendous acceleration by Albert Brown. Now, he's been close a couple of times already this evening to breaking one, and here he gets a little gap through that first wave. Couple of misses by the Stampeders, and a nice 65-yard return has Saskatchewan in good scoring position.
Tom Burgess gets pressure, but got it away. Touchdown! Ray Elgard. The blitz was on. Elgard got through, and Burgess put it right on the money despite the pressure. That brings the old joint to life late.
Well, it really does. 3 plays, you get possibility for 9 points, and Ray Elgard drops one earlier, but makes up for it here with a tremendous catch. Nice throw by Tom Burgess. Boy, he laid that thing out perfectly. Ray Elgard ran underneath it. The blitz cost the Calgary Stampeders.
First catch of the year for Elgard is a big one for the Roughriders.
And Old Mo maybe switches a little bit here. Old momentum.
Bobby Cossin. Remember Bobby played for the Roughriders? He always used to talk about Big Mo.
Big Mo. Well, we've got the AC Delco turning point tonight. Could that be the big play that does it?
Well, it certainly brings life to Taylor Field fans. Dave Ridgway, the converts. It is good. Lots of time left. Don't go away. 14 minutes, 12 seconds left in the fourth. The Roughriders have sliced into a big Calgary lead. It is now 26-15. The Stampeders lead it by 9, 26-15. Make that 11, of course. 14-12 to play, fourth quarter.
Well, after a tremendous kickoff return by Albert Brown of 65 yards, they did it in a hurry. A touchdown pass from Tom Burgess to Ray Elgard. Post pattern, he got in behind David McCrary on the blitz, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders find themselves right back in the thick of things as they only trail by 11.
Man of the moment, Ray Elgard. The pass from Tom Burgess. It is still a long way back for Saskatchewan, though. Stacey Dawsey. He's been great tonight. And got through for a pretty good return with Saskatchewan having good upfield coverage. Dawsey is shaken up.
He has done a lot of running tonight, hasn't he, John?
They actually spelled him off on offense a couple of times because of all the work that he has been doing on special teams.
0-0-3-4-6.
I think Eddie Lowe, who's one of the toughest tacklers in the CFL, had a hand in ringing the bell of Stacey Dawsey. There you're going to see number 42 fighting off the block of Frank Balkovec, and there's a little clothesline, little chin music for you.
Stampeders come out of it with very decent field position, however, as Barrett goes to work once more. This time at the 46 with a first down. Good fake by Barrett. He'll go himself. Out to the 55.
Wow, what a great fake that was. Everybody in the park, including you and I, thought that Danny McVeigh was carrying the football, and then Danny Barrett snuck around the right side and has a pretty good gain. Comes up a couple of yards short.
They mark it right on the 55. He's not calling Burgess out of Colgate. Second down and 1 to go for the Stampeders. Big play by the Roughrider defense. Flag down.
First down and tackle was 79, Gary Lewis on Petros.
Boy, did Gary Lewis ever get in there quickly.
He might have been a little too quick. Might have moved early.
Offside. Saskatchewan. First down.
We'll never know if it was Gary Lewis, but we get a look at him, and I guess, yes, it was Gary Lewis who jumped a little early. And another mistake cost the Roughriders.
That gives Calgary a first down at the Saskatchewan 50 now. Pressure on Barrett. Intercepted by Harry Skipper. Willis was the intended receiver. Skipper had 8 interceptions last year. That's his first of 89.
Well, heavy pressure coming up the middle from 79 Gary Lewis and 78 James Curry, and a pass that Danny Barrett would not like to have back again. The first mistake that he's really made tonight, and cost him an interception.
First down, Saskatchewan. Burgess hands off to McRae. McRae has a big hole. Greg Peterson made the stop. 14 yards for Tim McRae.
First down, Saskatchewan.
Timmy McRae, tremendous all-purpose back for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. All he needs is a little gap up the middle, and he gets it between the center Mike Anderson and Roger Aldag, and he's off and running. Nice first down for the Riders.
Burgess in difficulty. Gets away and found Nelson Jones. Not much room for Jones. Maybe a yard. Jones jumping now, Lee.
Well, they're pretty excited now. The Roughriders mounting somewhat of a comeback. That's a lot of work to get back to the line of scrimmage.
No real gain. This will be 2nd and 10. Burgess, time to throw. Can't find a receiver. Now he does. It is Nelson Jones who slips at the 50. Ken Ford pinned him there. Number 97.
Oh, once again, great coverage. He wanted to go to Jeff Fairholm downfield, and Derek Taylor just absolutely had the blanket on him. Had to dump it off to Nelson Jones, and he couldn't pick up the first down.
Jeff Treflin being attended to by the Saskatchewan training staff. Terry Baker now at the 35. Had a 67-yarder earlier. That helps the average. Definitely not his best of the night as it trickles out near the 30.
30-yard line.
Roughrider fans have come to life in the 4th quarter with Saskatchewan getting a touchdown, but they've still got a lot. Our game of the week from Saskatchewan's Taylor Field. A beautiful evening for football. In the background, a lovely prairie sky. 10:39 to play. 4th quarter. The Roughriders trailing the Stampeders 26-15. And I think that's one of Bobby's boys.
Yeah, I think so. The bandana kind of gives it away a little bit. But Bobby's got a great following here in Regina.
Lots of green around Taylor Field any night you come. Calgary first down at the 30. Barrett hands off. The Roughriders have it stopped. I think they moved Jurison back into a linebacking position now to try and cover off some of the injuries. Wayne Drinkwater has moved up to the defensive line.
Well, Bobby Jurison's, he's a good enough athlete to play back there, and absolutely right, John. He has moved to the outside linebacking spot. Eddie Lowe has moved to the inside. Jeff Treflett is the other linebacker, so pretty makeshift group right here.
2nd and 11, Stampeders. Barrett has his man, McVeigh. McVeigh has a first down. Good run by McVeigh after making the catch and going down. Gary Lewis finally stopped McVeigh.
John, that's a huge play. Andy McVeigh, looked like 3 Roughriders had him wrapped up at the position he caught the football, and then how he got through there, I'll never know, but he picks up a first down, and of course that's great for Danny Barrett. He doesn't only have to throw the ball about 6-7 yards and still pick up a first down, but that's a great effort by the former University of Toronto product, Danny McVeigh.
Outside Saskatchewan, flags are down. Barrett has a free one. Gary Lewis jumping the gun there a little bit late.
Well, Gary Lewis jumped offside, and Bobby Jurison's had to make a bit of an adjustment moving the linebacker. Good enough athlete to do so. Probably fun for him to get to play a different position. But
Saskatchewan number 79.
Here he was a couple of plays ago in pursuit of Andy McVeigh after he caught that ball. And one thing about Bobby Jurison, you will not find him sitting around like he's always chasing the football.
First down, 5 to go. Stampeders just across midfield at the Saskatchewan 54. Barrett to the far side. Has his man, Larry Willis. Willis in front of Albert Brown. 14 yards.
What a tremendous throw by Danny Barrett. You know, that's the toughest side for a right-handed quarterback to throw from, rolling to your left. And he makes it look easy as he hits Larry Willis down the sidelines. And well, the Stampeders have put a pretty impressive drive together here when the pressure was on. Danny Barrett squares his shoulders to the line of scrimmage, and that's the key to getting the ball downfield. And Larry Willis, a good catch to stay in bounds.
Another Calgary first down, this time at the Saskatchewan 40. Barrett releases quickly. McVeigh couldn't bring it in. Eddie Lowe, 42, was over there. James Curry was with Barrett once more.
Well, I'm sure the one thing Danny Barrett's thinking about now, which is so critical, is he's certainly in Mark McLaughlin field goal territory at the 40-yard line of the Riders, so probably put it up in the air, but don't do anything foolish.
McVeigh was the intended receiver again. It looked like a bit of a mix-up down there.
Well, it's what they call a hot pattern when the linebackers are blitzing the backs. If they're going out without picking up a blitzing linebacker, they have to be ready to catch the football in a hurry. And Andy McVeigh's a young guy still, and he didn't realize that. Danny Barrett couldn't hit him.
Important field goal try here for the Stampeders at 26-15. 3 more makes it 29, and that's a 2-touchdown advantage. Good range on Mark McLaughlin. Big charge. But in vain by the Saskatchewan Roughriders as McLaughlin adds 3 more to the Calgary total. Larry Kuharek may be getting ready to smile at Taylor Field. 7:43 to go in the final quarter. It is the Stampeders leading 29 to
Against Regina?
They evened things up last year, each team winning twice. Looks like Matt Finley will go in for Ford there. What about number 45, Bernell Quinley? Have you noticed his play tonight in particular?
Well, not really. I think the whole key was that the linebackers and the defensive backs for the Stampeders just did an outstanding job. They covered so well downfield, they didn't give Tom Burgess and Ken Austin a lot of receivers to hit.
McRae has the catch. Room down to the 40. 2:08 to play. Score quick. The Roughriders still have a shot. Jeffers on the tackle once more. Big 40 yards for Tim McRae. Great all-purpose back. He's done it all tonight.
Well, he really is. You know, 1988 was his best year, and tonight he's having a super game, too.
Burgess, all kinds of time. Now it breaks down. Looking long. Down to the 10. Ray McDonald, his biggest catch of the night. His biggest because it's his first.
Well, that was a great catch, and you just talked about Vernell Quinn. He was in hot pursuit of Tom Burgess, and Burgess just throws up a hope shot. And watch Ray McDonald come back underneath Derek Taylor and go up and kind of like make a basketball rebound. And a tremendous catch for his first one of the night. And boy, it was 2 plays, a big pass to Timmy McRae, and now Ray McDonald. His 30-yard reception has the Saskatchewan Roughriders at the 10-yard line of the Stampeders, and don't go away.
40 yards, then 30 yards, and the Riders, with 1:55 to go, still have life. Vernell Quinn out of Weber State. Played 6 games with Hamilton last season. Just came over to the Calgary Stampeders. They're looking for a rush end. The old Parker position, the Stuman position.
Exactly. 6'1", 230, that's about the size you want. He goes to the wide side of the field, and that time was in hot pursuit of Burgess. Couldn't get there quite in time.
First down, 10 to go. The Riders can get a first down without scoring a touchdown. The ball at the 11 to the end zone, and they get it. Narcisse. Donald Narcisse. 1:51 to go. And I think you'll notice when we show it to you again that Chris Major went down. Burgess on target for Don Narcisse. There's a happy camper.
Well, they haven't had a whole lot to cheer about tonight, but they certainly do here as Donald Narcisse gets in behind Chris Major. He stumbled on the play, and pretty easy touchdown catch for Don Narcisse, and a nice job by Tom Burgess. The convert was good by Dave Ridgway, and hold on to your hat. We've got ourselves a ball game here with just 1:51 remaining.
29-22. The Riders have cut the deficit to a touchdown.
Pretty quickly, 3 plays, 85 yards.
36 seconds is maybe a big key, too.
Well, now all the armchair quarterbacks will try and decide whether they should try the onside kick or kick it deep. And in my opinion, with 1:59 to go, kick it deep and hope your defense can hold the Stampeders to not getting a first down or 2 and get the ball back in a hurry for your offense.
1:51. There is time and hope once more in Saskatchewan. It has been a long road back for the Roughriders tonight.
Calgary receiving team is anticipating a short kick by the Saskatchewan Roughriders as they have 10 guys up close to Dave Ridgway who are all used to handling the football. They call it a hands team. I suspect Ridgway will just kick it deep.
Have we seen the AC Delco turning point yet?
Well,
or is it about to come?
I'll tell you, to Dave Ridgway's left, he's got a lot of guys that handle the football.
Short kick out. The hands team out there. The Roughriders have the ball. Albert Brown. That's a great play in Canadian Football League. 1:48 to go. Has had a pretty good night. So is this guy.
It's a great kick by Ridgway. Now they've got Ray McDonald, Ray Elgard, and a few others over here. It's Don Narcisse that tips the ball, and there's Albert Brown with the recovery. And boy, oh boy,
you know, he had one man. Well, there's another player in there. Complete. Ray McDonald. Should be a Saskatchewan first down. .142 on the clock. The Riders trail by 7. First and 10, Saskatchewan at the Calgary 42. Tom Burgess, time to throw. Off target for Ray McDonald. Check that. Hopkins covering on McDonald. What do you think, Lee?
Well, it's been quite a comeback by the Roughriders. And, you know, really, they're going to be gambling, so they got 2 downs left to at least pick up a first down. The way Tom Burgess is playing, you know, you have the feeling that they're probably going to do it.
Burgess for Fairholm. He falls. No penalty. He just fell down.
Well, he actually tripped, and as he was going down, he pulled Derek Taylor down. And you could almost call that the other way if you want, but really the fans here have no beef with that call, or lack of a call.
The Riders are down to their last ace.
They see Fairholm kind of trips, and he drags Taylor down with him.
One shot to keep the drive alive. 3rd and 10. And he throws it up. Underneath it. Touchdown! Don Narcisse. Burgess. Narcisse. No flags. Narcisse simply runs under the ball.
I mean, we're talking a hope shot. He just had so much pressure coming right at him. He let it go. He almost threw it as far as he could throw it, and Don Narcisse was just hoping to run underneath it. So back-to-back touchdowns by Don Narcisse, and Dave Ridgway ties it up.
1:26 to play. Somebody can kick a field goal to win this in regulation. How about the flame in the end zone?
Boy, it looked as though for 3/4 the flame would never get to light himself on fire tonight. McLaughlin, you remember, John, he missed the extra point on that first touchdown by Ronnie Hopkins.
He's hit a couple of long field goals.
Well, I hope that doesn't come back to haunt him.
It might be bothering him right now. Well, a great night at Taylor Field, the scoring drive. Took 25 seconds. The Roughriders covered 51 yards in 4 plays. Don Narcisse got the touchdown. Dave Ridgway tied it up with a convert. And the kickoff rolls by Hopkins.
Flag on the play.
Illegal kickoff. Saskatchewan number 36.
Ridgway will do it again. What a night. Fun time at the old Taylor Field.
Almost unbelievable to think that, you know, they come back with just a couple of minutes left, and there's your line score where you can see it was all Calgary Stampeders until the last couple of minutes of this ball game. And
20 straight points for the Stampeders, and then on the bottom line, 20 straight for the Roughriders as well, to tie it at 29.
Well, unbelievable. Don Narcisse with 2 touchdowns, both against Chris Major, who had 10 interceptions last year, tied for the league lead. And, well, I mean, he's a tough guy to pick on, and yet they come up with 2 big plays against him.
Had he not put a foot out of bounds.
Boy, that was close for him going out of bounds, too. Take a look at Stacey Dossie. Now, it's kind of tough to see the sideline right here. James Curry's going to block it out, but no question his right foot did touch the white of the sideline. And
well, let's see if Danny Barron has any miracles left. Burgess has pulled out 2 for Saskatchewan to tie it up. Barron's turn now with 1:26 to go. Well over the head of the intended receiver, Brock Smith, 85. 2nd and 10. You may have to work overtime tonight, Mr. Peters. Hope it's in your contract.
Well, it looks as though if Danny Barrett can't get things moving, the Roughriders are going to get the ball back. And the way they've been working the last couple of minutes, it wouldn't surprise me if they could get it down for a Dave Ridgway field goal. But first of all, they got to get the ball back.
Outside. 2 flags down. Willis lost the ball. Roughriders have recovered. Jeff Treflin came up with a loose football, but I think, well, hang on a second here, because it's procedure or it's offside. Can you believe it? Riders have the interception. They are in Ridgway range already.
First down.
Procedure called against Kuharich Stampeders. This would be a tough way to lose a ball game for Larry Kuharich.
Well, I can't believe what happened. Larry Willis jumps outside at the bottom of your screen. Now that jerks James Curry. You'll see it. That's the procedure by the right tackle too, Leo Branchard. So the fumble recovery by Jeff Treflin stands. And Saskatchewan with a great opportunity to win it in regulation time.
Tim McRae with 1:08 to play. Inside the 45 to the 43. Are they setting up for the field goal?
Well, I mean, the flags are totally limp, so it's well within Ridgway's range. I think they'll throw it downfield.
2nd and 5. Here's McRae. He has the first down.
Or they'll hand off to Timmy McRae.
We've been mostly right tonight, Lee.
Well, you know, I think I'm about 50-50. But why not hand off? You've got the best guy percentage-wise in the CFL in 1988.
47 seconds on the clock. Well, they'll measure for McRae's first down here.
Well, this sets up an interesting situation. Do you gamble and go for it and try and take some more time off the clock before Ridgway attempts his field goal? And that's exactly what the Roughriders are going to do.
Ridgway comes off the field.
So, a bit of a gamble here by John Gregory. And by the look on Ridgway's face, I'm not so sure he agrees with it.
Inside the 40. That'll be a first down, Roughriders. You got to worry about a situation like that. Any movement, anybody stepping slightly.
Well, I mean, any movement, they take the 5 yards, then they bring Ridgway in. So, I mean, the only thing that could kill you, two things. You either don't make it or you fumble. And John Gregory decided that now he can run some more time off the clock with 35 seconds left and counting.
Nice to have David Ridgway on your team, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll say.
Seconds left.
About the only thing they'll probably do in this situation now is just try and get it a little farther to the left, right down the middle of the field for Ridgway, being a right-footed kicker, and give him the best possible shot at it.
10 seconds on the clock. The Riders will try and run it out. 3 seconds to go. Enter Dave Ridgway.
I'm telling you, like if he breaks a tackle there and
keeps going,
they go to overtime. Like they were pretty casual. I don't believe
Tom
it.
Burgess has led the comeback. Ken Austin couldn't get the offense moving. Gregory didn't make the change until the third quarter. And not at the start of the third quarter. Call the timeouts. Put a little pressure on Mr. Ridgway, although he's a cool customer. Last year, David Ridgway, 66 field goal attempts, 55 good. A record for points at 215, a record for the number of field goals in a single season. He's the best there is right now.
Well, and he gives a lot of the credit to his success to number 27, Glenn Suter, his holder. He said he always gives me a good spot with the football, and we'll see if he can do it one more time.
From the 42, Ridgway for the win.